Hey toy fans, Aaron here. Today, by viewer request, taking a look at Qui-Gon Jinn from the Saga Collection. This figure was released in 2002, came on that blue card back with the golden Star Wars logo, racetrack running around the side, little swooshes in the background. Through that large blister, you get a good look at the action figure you're getting, along with his accessories. And then on the bottom, you got a photo of the character that you're getting from the movie. And then off on the right, the name of the movie from which this particular version of the character is from. So, as you see, Phantom Menace. And then his name and kind of a little specification. Left side of the card, he's number 32 in the line for that year. His name, and then part of collection 2. And then on the right side, his name once again, the number, and what he includes. So a lightsaber and a little blast deflection effect. Here's a look at the back side of the card, where on the top half is basically character or action figure information. Along the very top, you got the Star Wars logo and then the name of the movie from which he's from. First paragraph there is giving you a summary of episode 1. Next paragraph down, you got his name once again and then 0232. So 02 for the year being 2002, and then like I said, number 32 in that line. And then you're right up about Qui-Gon Jinn as a character in that movie. Middle of the card gives you 2 looks at the action figure from different angles, also calling out that you can attach the blast deflect on the lightsaber. And then along the very bottom, 3 other action figures that were available in the line at that time. Taking a look at the figure out of the packaging, I've got some very mixed feelings on this action figure. If you start at the bottom of the figure, you see that nice flowing robe, very action-oriented stance, which we were getting definitely in the Saga Collection. You move up, you got a good action pose with that lightsaber and arms outstretched. But then once you hit the shoulders and even the face sculpting, things just fall apart here. I don't like that immediately my eyes are drawn to his inner cloak showing through on the outer edges of his robe where it definitely shouldn't be showing. Makes it look very tacky and just kind of like a knockoff action figure almost. And then going closer for the head sculpting, you've got some resemblance of Qui-Gon. Sure, long dark hair, he's got a thin beard, but the face looks very smushed and not all that accurate of a look for Qui-Gon or for Liam Neeson. Granted, a lot of figures at the time, we weren't getting the best sculpt, but in 2002 we were getting a little bit better. Now that is where things get a little bit more interesting with this figure. As I did some research getting ready to do this review, I found out that he was actually slated to come out in the year 2000 as part of a Qui-Gon and Battle Droid action set, just like they did for Obi-Wan and Darth Maul. But as it happens, things get canceled, and they brought this action figure forward and finally used him a couple years later. So if his stance looks weird, like he's, about to swing a bat or something, just imagine that the other half of this set was going to be a battle droid that was, if you do a search for Qui-Gon Jinn battle droid set, you'll see an image where it's a battle droid kind of falling back and he's slicing at him. So that set kind of looks cool. Back to that head sculpt. Paint application that we're getting looks pretty good. I like the sculpting of the hair, the way it's flowing, showing movement. It does fit in very well with what they were trying to do with the line at this time. The eyes look like they're pretty well painted, placed right where they need to be. Even along the back of the hair, they got his little ponytail holder thing painted in pretty well. And within the hair, they've got some multiple colors going. This grayish brown washed out color along with some darker browns. It's okay. I would have gone with a little bit darker overall myself, but I can really live with what we got here. Now, as for the sculpting on that robe, it really does look great, minus the little gaps between the arms. I love the draping that's sculpting in for the long hood on the backside. Various folds, ruffles sculpted going all the way down, definitely showing a lot of movement to the robe. And I think it's molded in a very nice dark brown color. Sculpting down those arms for the robe continuing, looks very nice, very consistent with the way the rest of the robes look. Very nice draping as it extends down to the wrist. Coloring between the arms and the outer shell of the robe matches up pretty well. And then you get to the hands of the figure where obviously they're done in the flesh tone color. And you do have a little bit of that tan inner tunic coming through the edges of the sleeve. So I like that little added attention to detail there. The hands are sculpted so that he can certainly hold that lightsaber very well in the position that he's meant to hold him. And usually at this point I wouldn't even have him shot with the lightsaber in hand, but I wanted to give a good look first at the intended pose of the figure, because once you remove that lightsaber, the figure no longer works well at all. As you can see, he's just in a very awkward pose. Looks like he's about to go to the bathroom. And even though you have articulation at the elbow, there is not a lot you can really do with the hands otherwise. And that outer robe is removable. That's more of a feature of the way it's manufactured and not really a feature of the action figure itself, since if you take it off, you're left with an action figure that has these dark brown sleeves and you can't do anything about that. And now looking at the upper part of the chest on the figure, I will remove the robe so that we can get a better look at the inner features here. Sculpting for his costume looks great. Coloring seems pretty accurate, that kind of a lighter brown color, dirty white if you will, but wonderful folds sculpted in. You've got some very nice layering of the fabric being represented with the tabards. The inner tunic then underneath that painted in an off-white color, and then just a tiny bit of chest painting for that flesh tone color. Matches up very well with the head of the action figure. Around the waist, very nice sculpting for the belt. You can definitely make out that it's layered over the tabards. And then the actual belt itself, very nice dark brown color. Pouches sculpted all around, just like he wore in the movie. Nice light brown color to each one. And you got a touch of silver painting for the belt buckle, and even for the little grommets or snaps or whatever on the belt itself, holding that very thin outer belt, if you will. I don't know what you'd call it, but there's a very thin belt running around the thicker brown belt. Looking at the back of the figure, same great belt detailing continues, and a lot of ruffles and folds sculpted within that costume, again keeping the movement of the action figure showing. As for the legs, sculpting looks pretty good. Brown pants and kind of some various ruffles sculpted in, definitely highlighting the bend of the knee. And then sculpting for his boots seemed pretty accurate to me. Nice dark brown color, and those various snaps or straps kind of running around in the front, with the black soles painted on the bottom of the shoe. As for articulation, the head spins a full 360. At the shoulders, you can swivel from front to back. Can't complete a full 360 due to the sculpting. Swiveling at both the elbows and the wrists. You swivel at the waist. Both legs kind of come forward a little bit. Definitely getting some pushback from the skirt piece of the tunic. And then same thing for going back. Not a lot of movement. Doesn't matter though. The figure with that long robe has no problem remaining standing up. And as for accessories, no Jedi would be complete without his lightsaber. And we have a very nicely sculpted representation of Qui-Gon's lightsaber. As you can see, it's done in the black and silver coloring, and both in terms of the paint job and the way they sculpted it. As I said, it to me, for a little piece of plastic, looks pretty much in line with how his lightsaber looked. You even got a little red dot there for, I believe that's the activation switch of the lightsaber. Extending out of the hilt, as you see. Well, it used to be a nice green blade. Where I had that blast effect on the end of the lightsaber, it's definitely discolored it over the years. And that even happened if you take a look here on the one that I have in the packaging. I can't explain why. Lightsaber is molded in the green color. The blast effect is molded in the red color. And somehow things still either bled or discolored the green. That aside, one thing they were doing with the Saga Collection is giving you these little nice lighted effects kind of coming out of the blade. I don't know that it was necessary. Looks cool though. I'm pretty indifferent on that. And then another feature is that the blade is removable from the hilt. Just kind of pops out and pops back in. And then to go along with that lightsaber, you got the little blast deflection accessory. This one's pretty slick. These and the blaster effects that you put on the ends of guns, I think worked really well in this line. It's got a great red color to it. I like the little kind of, I want to call it an explosion, but I suppose it's actually the blasters being deflected in different directions. If you want to remove it, you just slide it off the end of the lightsaber. And if you want it on, then just slide it right back on over. So overall for me, it's not the worst figure in the world. Probably not the best Qui-Gon Jinn. I do like the action pose that we're getting with them. As someone, as I've said many times, I just put my figures on the shelf for display. So they're basically statues anyways. But if you wanted to show them in any other manner or displayed, with a different look, you're definitely not going to achieve that with this figure. He's very locked into that pose. Sometimes, though, I got to say, it's very hard for me to look past the fact that his costume on the inside shows so much through the sleeves of the robe. But I think if you can look past that, it's not too bad. I think it's still one definitely worth adding to your collection. So that's going to wrap this one up. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this figure in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.